Hello and welcome to my vlog. Today we're going to talk about the start of human reasoning. We were told in 1949 when that began, and it has been collaborated since then with anthropological studies and DNA studies. But before I begin, please subscribe, hit the bell, and hit the like buttons to help us spread the doctrine of Spiritism far and wide. Let's begin. When you read the books inspired by André Louis and psychographed by Francisco Chico C. Xavier, there are references to interesting information divulged to us during conversations or lectures recorded by the spirit André Louis. In the book Liberation, first published in Portuguese in 1949, André tells us of a lecture about the need to assist spirits in the lower zones and the abyss, in which the following statement is made. We know today that the human spirit, taken as a whole, has had the ability to reason for exactly 40,000 years. Nonetheless, with the same furious impetus with which Neanderthals killed one another with hatchet blows, humans of modern times, regarded as the glorious era of world powers, exterminate their brothers and sisters with firearms. This didn't sound right. We have been told that humans have been on Earth for around 350 to 400,000 years. But then I looked up modern humans in Wikipedia, and this is what I found. Anatomically, modern humans evolved from archaic Homo sapiens, the middle Paleothelic, about 200,000 years ago. The transition to behavioral modernity, with the development of symbolic culture, language, and specialized lithic technology, happened around 50,000 years ago, according to many anthropologists, although some suggest a gradual change in behavior over a longer time span. Hence, our brains must have evolved to a state around 40,000 years ago, to where the spirit realm determined was the minimum level of reason. Then I looked up more information. Lauren Cordain contrasts the anatomical and behavioral perspectives on this question. For 2 million years, until the agricultural revolution of roughly 10,000 years ago, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers, so the adaptive pressures inherent in that environmental niche must have exerted a defining influence on human genetic makeup. The portion of our genome that determines basic anatomy and physiology has remained relatively unchanged over the past 40,000 years, although anatomically modern humans first appeared perhaps 100,000 years ago. Modern human behavior first becomes recognizable in the fossil record of about 50,000 years ago. Between 50 and 40,000 years ago, their creative and technological innovation increased dramatically. During this period, skeletal robusticity decreased somewhat, suggesting that less muscular force was required for daily tasks. Here is the key sentence. The portion of our genome that determines basic anatomy and physiology has remained relatively unchanged over the past 40,000 years. A book that was published in 1949, before carbon dating, before DNA sequencing, before computers were anything other than used by governments, pegged the beginning of our ascent in the world of reasoning and increased use of technology in the same time period as our modern science. One more little piece of evidence that we are being guided along a path. The spirit realm created the conditions so that basic humans could evolve, and then, most probably, subtly modified our DNA to give us that next mental boost. A physical brain which could be powerful enough to connect to our paraspirits, the connection between your spirit and your physical body, and could process the exchange of information between our spirit and our bodies. 40,000 years ago, one of us started our first reincarnation on Earth, beginning the long climb from primitive to civilized behavior. Even now, we have a long way to travel. If you are interested in learning more about Spiritism, please read my book, Spiritism, Everything is Connected. Spiritism ties everything together. It reveals our purpose, our beginnings, our end goal, and the scope of the organization behind it all. Spiritism tells us there are no miracles, only phenomena that we don't yet understand. That miraculous healing, vision of spirits, near-death experiences, and glimpses of the future are all entirely possible given our place in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is dedicated to bring vital messages to us, not via organized religion, which had the tendency to withhold knowledge for their own gain, but to each individual so he or she could determine what path in life they would follow. We must each determine for ourselves whether we continue on to be mere consumers or to learn to balance our spiritual and material needs, so someday we may ascend up and out of the sphere of continual incarnations in a harsh learning environment to become a pure spirit and a contributor to the spirit universe. God bless.